All right, well, we won't get into too much detail about the Lions because obviously 0-16, what can you say about them? They didn't win a single game last year. They draft Matthew Stafford. They have nowhere to go but up. I mean, they didn't win a single game last year. But the thing is, can Stafford, because they tried to do the same thing with Joey Harrington. They drafted him 3rd overall thinking he was going to turn that franchise around. He didn't do jack crap for them. Can Stafford do the same thing? I mean, just like I said, they didn't win a game, so they can't really do any worse, can they?
No, well,
because they were. I'm
theoretically they can't. They were last in the league in basically every defensive category.
Pretty much.
They couldn't stop anybody from doing anything.
Yeah.
They actually played the Texans in a pretty close game, which was
kind of worried me.
Yeah, which is not a great sign for the Texans. The thing is, to me, the Lions, they have offensive weapons. Okay,
yeah.
Kevin Smith had a decent year for a horrible team. The running back out of Central Florida. He'll be in his second year. Now, he has guaranteed that they'll make the playoffs, so he's got the knucklehead in him, which is always a bad sign.
Yeah.
They have one of the best receivers in the NFL in Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
And Stafford and Culpepper will battle out for who's going to be quarterback. Now, if they do not improve their defense, they will not be dramatically better. Maybe they run 2-14, 3-13. Odds are they're going to win a couple of games this year.
I agree with you,
Murphy's Law. I guess the question is, do you start Stafford and let him get his feet wet, or do you, like a David Carr or Joey Harrington, or do you cradle them and let him watch for a year or two?
Well, see, and that's the thing. Well, you can go. I think it's one of those. It's a 50-50 chance no matter what you do, because say you do throw him in there, then you have a David Carr situation, you have a Joey Harrington situation, or you can get a Ben Roethlisberger situation. He got thrown in. Yeah, it was because of injury, but he got thrown in, took his team to an AFC Championship game, didn't lose a game until the playoffs. So you have that option, but then of course if you hold him out, then you bring him in. That's also, you could also get a good thing because that's what they did with Carson Palmer. He's a good quarterback in Cincinnati, but then if you hold him out for too long, you bring him in and he busts anyways, then you basically wasted all that time and money sitting him and he doesn't do anything for you. So, I agree with you. I think 2 or 3 wins for the Lions this year. They're in the right division to do it because it's not a strong division whatsoever. But
okay, so let me ask you: Week one, first snap of the Detroit Lions season, is Stafford taking it or Culpepper?
I'll say Culpepper. I think Culpepper will tie. Because he's the better quarterback right now. He's been in the league a lot longer. He knows what he's doing. All right, so let's go ahead. Picks, NFC North. I got the Vikings going to the playoffs. Obviously, no wild card coming out. I think the Vikings will do it again, regardless of who's behind the quarterback. They have a great defense. They have the best running back. I think they get it done in the weakest division.
I can see that. I'm going to mix it up, and I'm going to say that Green Bay wins this division. I don't think it'll be with a great record. Yeah. I think maybe even a 9-7 with a bunch of crazy tiebreakers or something like that. Yeah. But I do not see a wild card team coming out of this division.
I would not be surprised to see an 8-8 team win this division, so that's just my opinion. All right, we're going to move on to the AFC North, the toughest division probably, at least between 2 teams. Last year, Pittsburgh Steelers took down this division hands down 12-4, won the division, ultimately went on to win the Super Bowl, and then followed by the Baltimore Ravens that took the wild card. Pittsburgh, I don't think there's any doubt. I think we both agree they're going to take down this division this year.
Yeah, to me, Pittsburgh Steelers are probably the best organization in the NFL right now. Yeah. The way they handle their salary cap, the way they draft, the way they do what they do without necessarily a lot of big name players.
Yeah.
Come on, what's Pittsburgh known for? Terrible towels, steel curtain, okay?
Yeah.
They don't stray away from what they know.
No.
Okay, as long as Dick LeBeau is the defensive coordinator, which he came back, I believe he's in his mid to late 70s.
Yeah,
as long as he's there, I don't see Pittsburgh. Me personally, I don't really see him being challenged here. Look, they were first in defense in points allowed, yards, pass yards. But they were horrible against the run. They were second.
Oh yeah. Well,
defense wins championships. You have Roethlisberger, who's the kind of guy who always makes the first down when you need it. You got great possession receiver like Hines Ward. You got a running back by committee with Parker, Mweldy Moore. You got a good tight end, Heath Miller. You got the deep threat in San Antonio Holmes. They have everything on offense. They're not explosive, but they move the chains when they need to. Roethlisberger always looks like he's going to be sacked, and he somehow gets out.
He kind of reminds me of the late Steve McNair. Just the way he is. He's a big body, and he's hard to take down. That's just the way it is.
I agree. They're the class of the division by far.
Oh, yes, no doubt. Now, talking Baltimore Ravens, you and me were talking about this before we went on. I believe that the Ravens will probably take the wild card out of this division. You didn't agree with me on that, and why is that, though?
I don't see it. I think the big thing, they lost defensive coordinator Rex Ryan. He went to be head coach with the New York Jets. I think that's going to hurt their defense. They've been known, and they prided themselves on defense. They also lost Bart Scott, their linebacker. He went to the Jets.
But they did tie up Suggs, though, for 6 years.
They did just tie up Suggs. He's a great player. Ray Lewis, diminishing returns. The older he gets, he can't be the same player. Mm-hmm. I believe they lost McAllister this year, too, in the offseason. So, I mean, here's the deal. They had the fourth rush offense. Their defense was second in yards, third in points. Those are great. Their pass offense was not that great. Flacco had a good year. Yeah. Their offense does not excite me. I don't think they have the weapons they need. And I think when teams catch on and stop the run, they'll have a harder time. Yeah. Throwing the ball this year, just like they did last year.
True. Flacco can't surprise them like they did last year, because once you get tape on somebody, you can stop anybody. Cincinnati Bengals finished in third. They were 4-11-1, had the one tie against Philadelphia, which I thought was always funny. Dominic McNabb not really knowing that you could tie in a ball game, but that's a whole other story for another day. But Cincinnati, you told me you think they're going to have a better year this year. I really don't see it happening. They lost TJ Houshmandzadeh, who's your mama, however you want to say his name. The defense. Like I said, I didn't see them really improve it. The offense is terrible. Even though Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson, Chad whoever he wants to call himself, says he plans on staying with Carson Palmer at his house during training camp. Even if he does that, which I don't think Palmer's wife will let him do that, but do you really see the Bengals improving themselves?
Personally, I do. A couple reasons. They picked up Lavernius Coles in the offseason from the Jets. Yeah. He's a good possession receiver. Mm-hmm. They still have Ochocinco, who he's knucklehead, but if he keeps his mind in the right place, he can still be effective. You didn't bring up Cedric Benson, who had a very good year for them last year after they picked him up off the street. He's gonna be their starting tailback this year. Carson Palmer coming back healthy. That's just like picking up a top 10 quarterback in free agency. It's going to have the same effect. I think their offense can be much better. Chris Henry's actually off his suspension. He could be a third receiver for them if he's
out of trouble.
If he's another knucklehead.
Yeah.
Their defense is probably going to be the problem again. They were last in the league in offense in almost every category last year. Yeah. Without Palmer, without
they couldn't do
some of
these
guys. So
they definitely couldn't rush.
Just right there, they won 4 games with the worst offense. Their offense is going to get better. Well, I can see them maybe going 6-10, something like that, having a game or two improvement.
Yeah.
I definitely feel they're going to be better than the last team in this division, which is the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they finished 4-12 last year. They have no idea what they're doing at the quarterback position. Brady Quinn, Derek Anderson. What do you do? But they got a new coach, and Eric Mangini, and can he turn around the Browns? No, I really don't think he can. And even though we have our Laporte, alum playing for the Cleveland Browns, Big Sean Rogers on the defensive end, their defense still was not that good. Ranked 26th overall, giving up almost 22 points a game. They were giving up passing yards, they were giving up rushing yards. I believe, don't get me wrong, I think Cleveland will be an okay team. They might improve a little bit more, maybe 5-11, maybe even 6-10. But that flash in the pan, that Derek Anderson, that 1 year that he had, that great year, I think it's long gone. It's dead and gone. It's not going to happen again. And Brady Quinn, I don't believe he's the quarterback that turned around the Browns, regardless if it's his hometown or not.
Yeah, you got Mangini coming in, Mangenius. For all that talk, I think he's only made the playoffs 1 year.
Yeah,
So I don't think Mangini's that great. He's a Belichick disciple, if I'm not mistaken. And Quinn, he doesn't do much for me. He didn't try to come in and bring his new culture. He did clean house. He got rid of a couple of. When you watch the Browns play, it's almost like they don't care. It's been that way for a few years. It seems like they have a real bad culture. A bad mentality,
like bad mojo, just bad vibe.
That's got to change. They have great fans. The fans want a winner there. They were 30th in offense, 31st in pass yards. Is Braylon Edwards going to catch the ball this year? What other receivers do they really have? Jamal Lewis is an old, worn out running back to me. I see the Browns. I don't see them doing anything this year.
Yeah, they'll be in the cellar once again in that division. All right, so picks. I got the Steelers winning the division. I think you and me both agree on that. Both the Steelers, hands down, they'll take this division because they're just as good as they were last year. I have the Ravens, though, taking the wild card, and I don't think you have any wild card coming out here, do you?
No, I have Pittsburgh winning the division easily, and I have Pittsburgh actually being, I think they're top 2 in the AFC along with New England this year, as far as I'm concerned. I do not see anyone else coming out. I can see Baltimore maybe being 9-7, 10-6, and not making it out because I actually think there's a chance that 3 teams out of the AFC South make it to the playoffs this year.